Welcome to another episode of Hustle Tank. Today we have Dimple Singh with us, जिन्होंने अपना एक कैफे स्टार्ट किया है in Versova, and the cafe is a vegan cafe.
It is.
मेरे को भी है वो interest. Maybe moving forward someday I want to own a cafe of my own.
Almost everybody who I meet wants to start a cafe. So
Someone out there wants to start. How do they start?
it's not easy. So if you are wanting to dive into this industry,
There are a lot of cafes which are small, which are just starting out. How do you stand out?
why do you have to stand out? It's okay, no?
If someone is starting out a new business, what are the 3 things that they need to make sure?
First, ask yourself why do you want to start the business? Then figure out the service or the product. And third,
Welcome to another episode of Hustle Tank. Today we have Dimple Singh with us, जिन्होंने अपना एक कैफे स्टार्ट किया है in Versova. So her journey from starting a cloud kitchen to entering into the cafe business, we will learn about it all. Hi Dimple, how are you?
hello, hi, nice to meet you.
Okay. To start with, firstly, audience को ये बताओ, how did you start? How did you get into this business?
So like you mentioned, I had a cloud kitchen before and then I transitioned into having a restaurant of myself. I started a cloud kitchen just out of pure passion of, giving good food. I actually used to live in Bali and plan weddings there for a good 2.5 years and so. So when I came back to Bombay, I wanted to do weddings only. So food was not part of the plan at all. However, COVID happened and the business of weddings were not doing as good as it's supposed to. And I had few months on my hand to just figure out something else if I wanted to do. And I was honestly a little tired with the job that I was doing before. It was a little rigorous for me, physically, mentally. And food always came naturally to me. The cooking of it came very naturally to me all the time. When I had few months on my hand just to sit by myself with myself is when I realized that I love cooking. Then I should give it a try, make it some living out of it if at all I can. And that's how I started the cloud kitchen with just like few ingredients, few items on the menu. And then the journey sort of started from there till now.
Okay, so as you mentioned कि पहले आप बाली में you were a wedding planner, you were doing all of that, and then COVID hit. Obviously, the trajectory changed. But what inspired you कि ठीक है अब मेरे को जाना है into a cafe business? Because I feel at this point, even if you ask me, I am a big foodie. I enjoy food. तो मेरे को भी है वो interest कि maybe moving forward someday I want to own a cafe of my own. But it's still a far-fetched dream क्योंकि capital ये वो and there is a lot of things to figure out. So I would like to know कि where did you start from and what was your inspiration कि ठीक है now I am ready, now I can start a cafe.
Almost everybody who I meet wants to start a cafe. So I'm just one of them. To be very honest, now that you ask me this question, I'm sort of thinking it in hindsight, like what exactly sort of pushed me to open a restaurant? Because like you mentioned, it is very far-fetched. It is very, it was not easy at all. I think because it could be in my case, I think it was because when I was 21 years old, I moved to Bali and did something which I did not study. At all. Like I did not do any education into event management. Somehow got the job, went there, did the job for a good 2.5 years, and I was decent at that job. So maybe the idea that you will have to have these many stuff going for you to be able to achieve this was sort of shattered for me. Like it wasn't very present for me. So when the idea of wanting to have a cafe of my own came to my mind, I was not into that mode of analysis paralysis. For me, it was just, okay, this is next that I'm going to do. This is next what I'm going to do. So maybe that sort of mindset helped me, I guess. And I just went for it. And then I realized, oh my God, what did I walk into? But maybe that is how I started. That is my sort of, yeah.
That's great actually, because at times I feel we get stuck in analyzing so many things ki it becomes difficult to even take the first step.
Right.
So I feel that is also a great start jahan pe you're like, theek hai, we will figure it along the way. I would also like to know ki when did that kida of cooking and figuring out new dishes ki okay, theek hai, this is how you do things from scratch. How do you start? How did that kind of get into you? Ki theek hai, I enjoy cooking.
It's a very cliche sort of story. Like some skills, no, just come to you when you are a kid. And not that I'm a great Gordon Ramsay or something like that. None of that. It's just that when I was a kid, I used to enjoy watching a lot of food cookery shows. Used to really enjoy. So when I'm having my lunch, mostly people watch cartoon and all that. I used to do that, but I really used to enjoy watching a lot of, cooking shows on food channel. I remember when I was a kid. So I used to do that, and whatever recipes they used to make, which was bizarre at that point because the ingredients were like whatever, and I used to just substitute whatever was in my kitchen and used to experiment. Not necessarily it turned out to be great or even edible at times, but I just enjoyed doing that. Like just like any other, art and craft, for me it was another sort of art that I was playing with. So that's how I was very comfortable with cooking since I was a small kid. But when I moved to Bali, I go back there because most of my it's a turning point in my life. So what I have learned, whatever I have become, has started from that journey of mine. So don't mind me mentioning that again and again. It's part of my personality. It's just who I am.
We will dive deep into that journey also, don't worry.
True. So when I was living in Bali, I used to cook every single day. So there then I had to cook to feed me. So it had to become perfect. It had to be edible. So that's how I became even more comfortable with cooking the regular stuff and then experimenting on top of it. And then also having access to exotic ingredients, then playing along with that, different, trying different cuisine. Like you said, you are a foodie. I'm a foodie myself. Love trying different stuff. So I think that's how I started.
And also I would like to mention it to the audience. The cafe is a vegan cafe.
It is.
So I would also like to know, when did you turn vegan? And obviously we will dive deeper into how the whole dishes came together in the cafe.
Again, while I was living in Bali, I was a meat eater before, and meat here back at home in Bombay used to be a celebratory sort of food, So we used to make it on Sundays or on occasions, or when we are heading out at a restaurant or something like that. Whereas while I was in Bali, I used to have meat at least twice a day. So it's just how the culture was. Like it's readily available. It's easy to order. It's almost there in all the stuff that you sort of regularly order when you are a 21-year-old, fried rice or noodles or whatsoever. So fried chicken, McD, KFC, so all of that. So I used to have meat every single day. And then after a couple of, I'd say 1.5 years or so, I realized I don't want to eat meat every single day. It doesn't taste as good. I'm just eating because I used to eat. I always have eaten. So, but I'm not enjoying it as much. And then in those years, I was also consuming a lot of content around fitness, what food suits your body, what doesn't digest well, what's meant for your body. All sort of those information was sort of making room into my head. So eventually when I ask myself that question, do I really enjoy meat? Is that really is actually giving me joy in some sense, or I'm just eating it because I've grown up eating it? And then I realized maybe not. And then I gave into that thought even more, and then eventually after 1 year of that, of the answering that question, I turned vegan. Primarily because of my because I didn't have any medical issues or something like that. It's just that for my better health, for better quality of life, for then the animals and then the environment. That's the sequence. That's the reason why I became vegan.
I completely relate to this because I also used to eat meat, but then I feel it's something like an inner calling where you just all of a sudden feel like, okay, this is not something you enjoy. Matlab, I still know a lot of people who enjoy eating meat, and good for them. If
Absolutely.
it works for you, it works for you.
Yes.
But I eventually fell out of that place. Ki nahi, now I'm not having fun eating meat, so I just switched into vegetarian. I'm not a vegan, but yes. So I know it's just a inner switch that happens.
Yeah.
It's not something.
And each to its own.
Yeah.
I do not advocate that be a vegan or don't be a vegan or whatever. It's for you. Like, it's your own journey. Do whatever makes happy to you.
Understood. Okay. So I also feel, did you turn vegan in Bali itself, or
No,
it was after coming to India?
Vegan when I came back from Bali.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay. A lot of questions here
I
then.
know.
Indian food, it is vegetarian. There are a lot of vegetarian options, but vegan options are very limited in India. So I'm sure the journey of turning vegan in India was a little bit difficult.
I'll disagree, actually.
Okay.
Because for me, it's my personal journey that I'm talking about, which could be specific to me. So when I moved back, COVID happened. So you were primarily at home. And at home, the food is vegan for me. When you just if I could just skip the ghee on the roti and in the dal, automatically what we used to have is dal chawal roti sabzi, which is inherently vegan. And whatever curries that you used to make with veggies is vegan. Your snacks such as vada pav, samosa, pani puri, bhel puri, all of that is just vegan. So in my daily life, it did not make it was not difficult for me to consume vegan food. However, when I used to step out, I'm talking 4 or 5 years ago, it wasn't as easy, I'd say. So for if I want to grab a pizza or a burger, then there weren't as many options for vegan back then, 4 or 5 years ago. But while I was at home, it was very, very easy for me to be vegan. So,
yes, fair enough. Yeah, most of the home cooked food are vegan.
Correct.
But yes, I feel the challenge comes when you are, meeting friends,
for
going
socializing
out
and stuff. Yes, but not now. Not anymore, because not that there are too many vegan restaurants, but almost every restaurant will have some section dedicated to just being dairy free. So now it's much, much easier.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, understood the whole journey of you turning vegan. But I would also like to know, how did you come up with the name Thank Gourd and what inspired that?
Yay, love this topic. I came up with the name Thank Gourd because I was clear that I wanted to have a vegetable pun as the name of the restaurant, as the name of the brand, because that's how I would reckon that it's a vegetarian place, and how vegetables are also equally part of this ecosystem in terms of food. So I wanted to do a vegetable pun, and this was one of the names that was available for me to get it on GoDaddy, which is the domain that I wanted to grab. And even the Instagram name was available. So that was my only criteria. It had to be a vegetable pun, and I need to get the name as is, without, underscrolls, this and that, dots and commas and whatever. So I happened to get that. So that's how.
That's a very simple and nice story. Usually people have a very complicated theory
none of that,
behind the name.
A lot of people also mistake it that my menu would be just around God, which is not true.
Yeah. It is not. I have been there, so I know that.
You have?
Yes,
oh,
I
nice.
have. Okay, so I would also like to understand your journey of having a home kitchen, like a cloud kitchen. People think it might not be easy, and so I want to understand, how did you start that? And if someone out there wants to start and they think, okay, cloud kitchen is something that they could go with, so how do they start it? What is the process? How do you register into different, obviously, apps? How do you go about that? And what are the things that you need to make sure that you have? Because I think right now it's a very wild idea ki okay, theek hai, cloud kitchen is something you can go for, because people usually are like, theek hai, cafe business, there is still a blueprint available ki these things are there, then you're sorted. But with cloud kitchen, I still feel there is no blueprint out there where you know ki okay, these are the things that you need to make sure, this is the checklist that you need to follow. So can you just dive into your journey of how you started it?
Like you mentioned, a lot of people think it's not easy, because it is not. it's not easy. So if you are wanting to dive into this industry, know that it's not easy. Know that you're walking into something that is going to consume you completely. And if you're ready to sort of surrender, then good, great. How did I start my cloud kitchen? I started from my home kitchen. All I had to do is get a license, which is available on online. You just have to fill the form, submit the documents that they ask you to.
License
And
as in food license.
FSSI, yeah, FSSI.
Okay.
It's also called FSSI. It's called FSSAI. You just have to grab that, apply for that. It comes in a week's time, and if you have contacts, it comes in a couple of days. Once you have that, get it registered on Zomato and Swiggy. Zomato and Swiggy for both now. Earlier for Swiggy, we did not need any FSSAI. So you just could, open your merchant stuff and then get the order started. But right now, I guess with both of the platforms, Zomato and Swiggy, you will have to have this license, and then you register yourself and, list the items that you want to sell. And then, go for it. And you receive the orders and then you prepare them. That's how the cloud kitchen sort of works. However, I would recommend that you get an idea of how to deliver stuff in these many times. For example, if you've given yourself 10 minutes, then you need to have all the mise en play so that you could get it assembled in that much time. Because in here, especially when it's like a delivery sort of setup, all that matters is timing. All that matters is packaging. So you have to, divert your
Take
attention
care of
towards
that
that.
as well. Okay, understood. Also, with cloud kitchen, do you think the menu needs to be like very limited items? Because obviously the space is limited, the people working there would be limited. So how did you go about that? Like, what were the dishes that you started with? Then eventually how did you increase it?
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier as well, I started with a very few items. I just started with hummuses and smoothie bowls. That's all. It was all cold item as well, so that I knew that the turnaround time would be less, and it's less of an hassle. I had different types of hummuses, different types of smoothie bowls that I used to do from my cloud kitchen, and then I eventually, introduced some curries and stuff. But I would highly, highly, highly recommend anybody who's starting out new to keep your menu very, very tight. Even if you're starting out at a restaurant, pick up a niche and just keep your menu tight and work around it. And if you want to put attention to stuff, then that could be the detailing of the food that you are sort of doing. For example, if you're doing a sandwich business, a sandwich sort of a cafe, a grab and go stuff, then I would highly, highly recommend that you go into the detailing of how a bread should be. Get the best bread in that you could provide in that area. Get the best sort of meat or protein or whatever patty that you're going to serve it with. Get the best sauces. Get the best produce. So that's how you like sort of shine in that, locality in that particular domain. I would not sort of recommend, if you're starting out, to have like multiple stuff in your menu. It's just a lot of hassle. I am doing that. That's how I know that you should not.
Okay. Can you also mention like few, as you said that you shouldn't be doing this, any 3 tips or learnings that you had from the cloud kitchen wala journey that okay, these 3 things you shouldn't do, or you should be absolutely hell-bent ki ye to nahi karna hai? What are those 3 things for you?
For a cloud kitchen or for a restaurant?
For a cloud kitchen.
For a cloud kitchen. Don't keep your menu lengthy. Do not compromise on packaging. And do not take your customers for granted. I'd say these 3 things.
Okay. And as cloud kitchen, I also feel when you go into a cafe, you go into a restaurant, there is a vibe that is provided. May it be the music, may it be the waiter serving you the food, everything. There are a lot of things in picture that enhances the experience of the food. But when it comes to cloud kitchen, the human touch is missing because you are just packing your food. Obviously, the packaging has a say, as you said. But just the packaging might not even interest the customer that much. At times people are okay with just ordering from a random restaurant also, because packaging might not play that important of a role. So how do you make sure the human touch is also there? How do you make sure that the people are ordering from you once will come back to you, like is your repeat customer?
See, the hero here has to be the product, so the food. So there's no way you can go wrong with the food and still have the cloud kitchen running, especially when you are new into the business, right? So the product, the food has to be good. Make sure it is good. Second, the packaging that I'm talking about is not just, fancy packaging. I'm talking about functional packaging, that it should not spoil the food in the process of it getting delivered. So that sort of packaging needs to be intact. That's what I'm sort of trying to insist on. If you have the budget to make it fancy, then that is one element that you could have your sort of brand interaction going on with the customer. Otherwise, now that there are so many tactics that you can use, a QR code just to send a video of your experience, or a restaurant can make a particular video of their ambience, of how their kitchen is running, how the kitchen looks like, what their staff looks like, that they can scan and watch to just understand like where the food is coming from. So there are now though it's very easy to get that human touch, but when I say packaging and when I say food, it's just the product and the functionality of it that I'm talking about.
Makes sense. I would also like to understand, obviously you have gone back and forth, I think, with the menu a lot in understanding how you can, get the best flavors out there. So I would like to understand, how did the menu for the cafe came into picture? Because with Cloud Kitchen, as you said, there were limited items. You were just with hummus and smoothies were the things that you were experimenting. But in your cafe, obviously you have pastas, you have raviolis, you have sandwiches, you have burgers, and all of them vegan. Plus I have also tried one or two dishes which has a lot of that flavoring that people miss when they turn vegetarian as well. So how did you come up with all those dishes? Because I think when you started the cafe, now at this point I feel there are a lot of recipes available out there. You just go, you Google, you will find something or the another. But when you were curating a whole menu for the cafe, I think it would have been a much difficult task to, get the palate right, get the taste right. How did that whole process come into picture?
So when I was doing Cloud Kitchen, I had started doing lunch dinner packages in which I was experimenting with much more than just the hummus and smoothies. So that's where sort of the curries and the flavor profile that I wanted to play with sort of got experimented already. However, when I was planning the menu for the cafe, I just sort of put everything that I would crave when I go out. So for example, I love ramen, I love pastas, I love a good burger, I love a great sandwich. So I just sort of put it all together. So that's what, because I was so naive, I was not from the industry, I didn't have any experience, I just did whatever I felt like doing. But if somebody asks me right now, I would recommend them picking up a niche. Right now I'm a little more comfortable with the menu that we are doing, and it's been like 4 years, so I'm at a much better space. But if you're just beginning out, I would not recommend this. But for me, that's how the menu came about. And also I probably did not stick up to one niche because I was also doing vegan. So I was also skeptical if somebody walks in a vegan space and only gets to have sandwiches because there weren't as many options. So maybe that was also one of the ideas why I wanted to have like good options in all the aspects of a menu. So that's how the multiple sort of varieties of food came into the menu. So the basic idea of putting together the menu was just the stuff that I liked having myself. That's why you will see the menu is so
vast
mix of
and
everything.
diverse.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay. Also, coming back to the older question that I was asking, I said I am excited for a cafe business. I would like to understand from you, how did you finally know ki theek hai, Cloud Kitchen done, I'm doing good with Cloud Kitchen, now maybe I need to explore. And how did you pick out the location? How did you know ki okay, Versova is where I want to have my cafe? how did you go about that?
So after the 1 year of cloud kitchen that I ran from my home kitchen, I knew that I wanted to have infrastructure where I could also design experiences. Since I came from the event background, I know the importance of, the human interaction, the sort of plating that I wanted to do, because all of that was the major point of interest for me. Like I mentioned, when I was a kid, I used to get so much intrigued with so the show around the food that they used to show, the fanciness of the food.
Yeah.
That was more of my interest. So eventually I knew that I wanted to have a space where I could host people, I could serve in the cutlery that I wanted to serve in, the way that it was served with the garnishes, like all of that is sort of translates my creativity into the food. So I knew that I wanted to have an infrastructure in place for that. I used to live in Malad with my parents, and that's why I was looking for a space around my home so that it's easy for me to access. But the rentals were so high there, as well as here in Andheri side. The rentals were the same, but the space was different. For example, in Malad, for a 500 square feet, let's say the rents were like, for example, were 50K. In here, the rent was still 50K, but for like 250 square feet. And
The
I was
space
like,
was
I would
smaller.
rather get a 250 square feet because it's easy to sort of, for me, if I'm just beginning out, it's easy for me to manage a small space, because I'm eventually shelling out the same amount of rent. Then I might as well start here in Andheri, because in my understanding, I figure out that the spending capacity, or people open to it, open to having relatively healthier food, are here more than in Malad, Kandivli, Borivali, is why I sort of came here. And this was also a realization that happened along the way. I was looking at places in Andheri, in Kandivli and Malad through the broker, and then I understood that might as well just give it a try and see what's going on here, rate-wise, infrastructure-wise, customer-wise. And along the journey, I ended up in Andheri. Started out from Malad and came here. And from Andheri to Versova, it just, after spending good 2.5 years in Andheri's outlet, which was much, much, much smaller than what you see here in Versova. It was a 300 square feet, sort of 6-table cafe. And then this opportunity came along. So earlier I was just all by myself, the whole and soul. But right now with this outlet, I have partners on board. So they have helped a lot in that, like, of us moving from there to here. And right now I have a comfortable space.
That's amazing. And plus I've seen the space, so I know it is really good. Also, I would like to understand that there are a lot of cafes which are small, which are like just starting out, which are budding. How do you stand out among all those?
Why do you have to stand out? It's okay, no? You're a part of the ecosystem. You are in another restaurant. How you can stand out is just that with the consistency of the food, the sort of the menu that you experiment with. Like, you've been eating dal rice since you were born.
Yeah.
And then you will eat till you are 70 years old. So it's just what you like. It's going to keep on happening. Just give a good dal and rice. Just give like a good tadka. Make sure that the food is fresh. Make sure the ambience is nice. The service is good. People, come at a restaurant. Like, for me, if I go out to a restaurant, no, I would go and experiment once or twice a year. But I would go back to few restaurants and again because I enjoy going there. So what I'm trying to say is that you don't necessarily have to be the most unique recipe coming restaurant. You just have to do first the hygiene stuff, the regular stuff, that have a great staff going on for you, have a great food, have the service right, have your ingredients right, your produce, your vendors, and all of that in place. And then just you keep amping that up, keep showing up, keep doing that again and again. Nicely. I
feel that mindset is very necessary because, as you mentioned earlier also, don't put too much thought into it. Don't analyze it too much, because once you start analyzing,
I don't recommend that. I mean,
yeah,
you can see it for yourself. That's how I did it, because I have 2 brain cells. That's on what I function on. So for me, that's what I did. But if you have more brain, use it. Why not?
Yeah, definitely. But I also feel now, once you start over analyzing everything, you get stuck in that loop.
I've
So
been told that.
yeah, so you then don't end up starting, because you're just thinking, oh, maybe this would go wrong, maybe that would go wrong, maybe here I would fail, there I would fail. So you just build a whole wall around you ki nahi, let's wait, and you just keep pushing it. But at times maybe you just need to be a go-getter and just do it, figure it out along the way. So that's also
one way of doing it.
Yeah, I think that's also a good mindset shift to have, where you're not thinking too much ki yes, you need certain analysis at the base of it, but I think once you think ki, okay, theek hai, I am passionate enough about it, I know I can do it, then I feel it's just the journey that you go along, and then you figure out things.
I agree, absolutely. If you're a little financially secured, and little with peace with yourself and your craft, then you should give it a chance, because why not? When else are you going to be 25 again? You know?
True.
So, yeah.
I would also like to understand, there are a lot of wave of food that comes in. Like right now, matcha is trending a lot.
Love it.
People have different opinions about it. I liked it, but not a complete fan of it. Maybe
Okay.
I also haven't tried it that much, I would say that.
That's okay.
So when such food trends come in, do you also are the one who would be like, okay, this is something I would want to experiment?
Absolutely. Why not? It's a low-hanging fruit, no? If everybody is saying that I love matcha, as a restaurant, you should serve matcha. Why not?
And do you also then try to experiment around it a lot? Okay.
Yes. So the regulars, which is already liked by a lot of people, then that you should definitely have. And if you think that you can come up with different combinations or different different concoctions of stuff, then might as well start and experiment with your regular people, experiment with your friends and family. That's the great part of having a food business. You can call in on a phone and people would be here, because who doesn't love free food?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. I would also like to understand, as you said, ki matcha is also, a lot to do with experiment also, where you are trying to mix it with different ingredients and try to test the flavors of it. In your, obviously with vegan food, I am sure that it's a lot of trial and error, where, at times you also need to mimic the taste that you are thinking of. Or at times it is just complete experiment, where you're just, mixing 2-3 ingredients and seeing how you go about it. So how is that experiment process? And I would also like to understand how many failed attempts you have had in, excelling one dish.
Have you had my ravioli?
Yes, I have.
So the first few times it was a disaster.
Okay.
Yeah. That I can tell. Because ravioli is such a dairy heavy sort of dish. But it's now a bestseller at our restaurant. So that already says a lot. That we have sort of got it right in some ways, that people indefinitely come again and again for the ravioli, which I also personally love and recommend highly to anybody who walks in Thank Gourd for the first time. They should definitely try that. For me, my menu is not trying to mimic any of the flavors which is not inherently that it's supposed to be. For example, I have, let's say, a turnip cake, which is in my menu. A turnip cake is inherently a vegan recipe. If you don't add pork, which a lot of restaurants in India don't. So instead of pork, I put mushrooms, and it just gets the flavor right. For example, a Thai curry. A Thai curry without the meat, like for a vegetarian Thai curry, it's inherently vegan.
Yeah.
So my menu is primarily continental and Asian. And what I think of Asian food is, it's vegetarian and it's non-vegetarian. When it's vegetarian, it is inherently vegan. Because in Asia, Southeast Asia specifically, doesn't have a lot of dairy. Mostly their alternative to meat is tofu, tempeh, which is all vegan.
Yeah.
And that's what we do as well. When it comes to the Asian part of the menu. With the continental part of the menu, for the pizzas and etc., my pizzas are again bestsellers, the flatbreads that we do, is because I have put specific detailing and intention with all the ingredients that make a proper pizza. So the base and the sauce and the veggies and then the cheese. Everything has been put enough detailing to be able to taste so good. Because primarily, no, I feel that a pizza is a good pizza when the bread and the sauce is nice. And both are vegan. The bread and the sauce can be vegan. I just have to mimic or sort of bring in the gooiness and the creaminess of a cheese, which we get it through cashew cheese that we make in-house again.
Okay.
So that's achieved. Then nobody sort of complains about it or even realizes, not that I'm trying to, fool them. But if they ask, then we tell them. If they don't even come to know that it's vegan.
I completely agree with you on this because I do go to a lot of cafes. I do explore a lot of food. And one of my friend, who's also your friend, who took me to your cafe, and that's where
Shout out to Mahima.
Yeah, shout out to Mahima. That's where she was like, no, you need to try this cafe and just see for yourself. And we have walked in, we tried the pizza, and trust me, it didn't taste anything different.
Guys, I didn't pay her for that.
I'm not getting paid for that. The pizza did taste different. I also don't remember the name of the dish, but it was a mushroom dish.
Mushroom wings.
Yeah. It did taste a lot like wings. Like, I would hands down agree to it. And like, Mahima just randomly ordered a few dishes and she was like, just try. That day, I think my thinking and my mindset also changed. I still can get the flavors I want. Because I feel with vegan food in general also, there is this bias because vegan food is healthy, it's not going to be tasty.
Both are wrong. Vegan food can be unhealthy, and vegan food can be very, very tasty. Is your samosa tasty?
Yes.
Is it healthy?
Yes.
It is vegan. It's not even healthy and it is tasty. Okay. I will say healthy food can be tasty. Healthy food can be so tasty. Your watermelon is so good. It tastes so good with mint and it's so healthy. So like, break it down to the easiest and most accessible food that you eat on every single day and then build the opinions, no? How come healthy food is not tasty? It's so good. Vegan food can be healthy and non-healthy because it's a food, and all types of food can be healthy and unhealthy. And so is with vegan. And with every other food, that how it can be tasty and not tasty depending on how you make it. For example, I must have not had great Frankies in my life. A lot of people must have had, and it is tasty for them. So it's just subjective. And vegan food can be tasty, vegan food can be healthy, vegan food can be unhealthy. What we serve at my restaurant is healthier, relatively healthier. Like, I have indulgent food as well, but you can find healthy stuff as well if you're looking out for that. And in my menu, everything is tasty also.
That I would agree with. It is.
I'm glad you're taking my interview and you've had my food. It's so much easy for me to.
Yes,
then
you
explain.
don't have to convince and sell it to me. Done. Makes sense. You said ki you are not trying to mimic, you are just going about it. What are the dishes that you would recommend? We will come to your cafe also, but in general, vegan food that you feel that people haven't tried a lot, which people should actually go and have it.
I would definitely recommend beaten tofu ravioli in a pesto sauce. So good. A farmer's flatbread. So good. Vegan meatballs in marinara sauce. So good. Mushroom wings, like you said. Any of the curries. A Korean burger. So good. Okay, I can go on and on about it. I love my food. You can tell I'm so obsessed. Like, I myself am a huge Asian cuisine advocate. I love sushis. I love ramens. I love baos. So the Chinese, like proper Oriental cuisine. Chinese, Japanese. I love. Korean I have not tried as much, but love myself a nice Japanese dinner or a Chinese lunch. And I'm not saying like Indian Chinese. Indian Chinese is great. And you know what? Indian Chinese is vegan if it's vegetarian.
Yeah.
And all the Asian stuff, like I said before, like if you go and have a nice uh, truffle chili oil edamame fried rice, it's vegan. It's so good. So try the Asian stuff in any of your favorite restaurants and you won't be disappointed.
Understood. Okay. I would also like to understand, you know, a lot of times when people advocate about being vegan and you should be vegan, it's healthy, this, that, understood. But do you also feel ki people coming up with the theory of, okay, there is vegan meat, try vegan meat. And then people just go like, if you want to have a flavor of meat, why do you want to switch vegan? Have meat. Do you think that trend of vegan meat is unnecessary, or it's just a gimmick to attract people but maybe not necessary, because as you mentioned earlier also, you just go about your food. If you enjoy certain food, you don't want to mimic it. But veganism, I feel, is also a little bit of gimmicking the food and flavors that you get from a meat or a fish and other dairy products. Do you feel we should avoid that gimmick, or do you feel that trend exists for a reason?
Okay, so for me, I gave up meat because I lost my appetite for meat. So for me, there's no craving of having meat like texture. That's why you don't see a lot of it in my menu either. And I don't also crave for that. So I don't go out and look for, mock meats and stuff. However, I think in a broad perspective, all over the world, why they're trying to do mock meat, because outside of India, like I mentioned, 80% of their diet is meat. And now a lot of people reckon then that it is now it is the time has come for us to stop consuming as much meat as we are doing right now, because I'm not the right person to talk about it, or I don't even have enough content to talk around it. All I know that it is sort of ruining the environment, your own health, of course animals, because they are ending up getting killed only. So the whole, whoever is sort of analyzing and seeing is now sort of making it a call that you do not need to have so much meat. And for somebody who's a Western person who loves meat and has meat thrice a day, it is hard for them to just give up meat. For me as an Indian, like I told you, at my home, I inherently eat a lot of vegetarian food. So for me, it's not a big shift. But for let's say somebody who's grown up eating meat every single day, thrice a day, then for them it is difficult. So how can they still have their comfort food and not feel like something is, because you have a very emotional equation with the food, right?
Yes.
So you can't just overnight be all woke and be like, okay, I will have only vegetables. But if you're not used to it, it is not nice for you, mentally also, physically also. So that's why I think these mock meaters are sort of trying to help people who are heavily consuming meat and are loving meat, but consciously sometimes entirely want to become a vegan, or on some days want to become a vegan. Even that is better. Like if you're having meat 7 days a week, and if you can substitute it for 2 days with the mock meat, then it's still nice for the environment, So maybe that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody is doing a gimmick, because then it would be the hardest gimmick that they are pulling off, because it is not easy to turn people vegan or tell them that vegan food is wow, the best thing in the world. Then they are doing, they're taking the hardest job in the world. If they are trying to gimmick. I don't think so. That's that. I think people are being just conscious and trying to make it easy for the rest of them who are not as aware, perhaps.
Makes sense, because actually with this thought, there is also key, okay, why do you want to mimic meat? Like a lot of people also have that debate ki if you want to eat it, just eat it. why do just go into the trend of, figuring out new things. But yeah, it makes sense where it comes to being more nutritious, being a little health conscious, then it makes sense. Okay, you can substitute this if you are craving for the flavors.
A lot of people are also vegan because they genuinely love animals. For me, animal is definitely one of the reasons why I became vegan, but it's not the topmost reason for me. But for a lot of people, it is the topmost reason. And each to its own. And then please pick up your reason and make a conscious choice if you can.
Agreed, totally agreed. Also with vegan food, one major debate is you don't get your nutrients right, with as in basically it's protein. So what is your thought on that, and how do people being vegan or even vegetarian for that matter can increase the daily intake of proteins?
I know a lot of people who consume meat are still chucking down protein powder, right? So now in market there are vegan protein powder available, which they extract from soybeans, pea protein, tempeh, which is again soy based. So they have figured it out. A lot of people from the food scientists have figured this out already for you, so you are safe. And there is enough protein powders available for you to take that protein intake correct. However, if you're looking out to not be the giant person but still have enough amount of protein in your daily sort of food intake, then I would recommend soy chunks, I would recommend tofu, tempeh, edamame, broccoli, your regular chickpea, rajma, chana, chole, green peas, are all rich in protein. They do the job.
I also feel in India we aren't much educated in terms of, as you mentioned, a lot of food that we consume on a very daily basis, soya bean, rajma, chole, chana, these are like our everyday staple food. And still people say ki okay, vegan, vegetarians don't meet their protein needs, but it is all there in the kitchen. We are just not aware of that. Maybe because also I feel a lot of research that is done, it is done abroad. Food researches in particular. That's why maybe this awareness is not there ki okay, these are also the things. Because I think people abroad do consume rajma, red beans, but chole as a concept is not that much there.
Chickpeas are there, no? Hummus and everything is being consumed in Middle East.
But that's what it is, like limited to that region. Maybe that's why the awareness is also a little lesser.
I also think that India doesn't need to be so much aware about vegan food because our 60% of our daily food intake is inherently vegan. You agree or not, right? If you are coming from a normal Indian household, you will have rajma, all of this on a daily basis. Dal, rice, roti, sabzi or chole, everything is vegan inherently. I mean, you can't do anything about it. You are having it every single day. When you say you can't eat vegan food, you are eating vegan food every single day. So that's that. Do you need to be necessarily aware of what is vegan food, what is not? Then you just, from what I think, no, when I was not vegan, if I was told that, this is vegan food and this is good for you and what you are having is bad for you, then I will say, shut up. Don't tell me what to do. So don't tell people what to do unless they ask you. If they are coming to you and asking you, should I turn vegan? What is there for me if I want to turn vegan? How it is, how's not? Then maybe go and answer. Don't just be on people's faces and tell them what to do because nobody likes to be told. So I think that's
I love this. I love how you don't, at times I see people and I see them ki no, this you should try. This is the vegan food that is best. But
keep to yourself, no? Yeah.
That is amazing. I would, coming back to the restaurant business, cafe business, I would like to understand how is it going? And obviously, once you start a cafe, at the start, I feel a little bit of, people, word of mouth happens. But we also see a lot of cafes around that they start, but maybe in 6 months, maybe in a year, they just fade out. You are not aware what happened, what went wrong. You just, one day you see a cafe, the next day you just see the shutters down. So how did you go about it? How did you actually go from 6 tables to now owning a very pretty cafe in Versova?
First of all, I want to empathize with everybody who's put their shutters down, because I'm sure it must be very, very hard to come to this decision, because it just is such an emotional journey for an owner, especially in this food industry, that I know it must be hard for them. So first, I want to tell them and give them a hug. I'm sure you will be able to do much, much better in your life. For me, I will not say we are there, we have arrived, or we have made it, we are the most successful restaurant running in Versova, but we are decent. We are doing good. We are happily making ends meet. We are keeping our customers happy, our staff happy, our vendors happy, ourselves happy. We've been able to develop the brand for good 4 years now. So without having prior experience, which I would not recommend, please work at a restaurant before you want to try and open one. It just accelerates the process and gives you much peace. But for me, I'm at a better. I'm financially at a better space. I'm mentally at a better space. Has it become easier? Not at all. Every day is different. Every day is difficult. Put your head down, keep on working, and sometimes also put your foot down, because you have to. Otherwise, it'll just ruin sometimes your day, your week, and sometimes months. So since you're being consumed by this so much, so sometimes putting foot down also helps with difficult customers. Yeah, so far Thank Gourd is doing so far so good, I'd say. That's my go-to answer, whoever asks me, because it's a business, no? Some days it's so bad, some days it's so great. So that's the great part about having a food business. Is such a non-linear outcome that you can't expect. Like, I would not know in next 5 years what would happen to my restaurant, because I would not have been able to tell you 4 years ago that I will have a restaurant in Versova. So it's just that dynamic.
I agree. I hate the question when people ask, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Because
I see myself vacationing in Africa.
That's nice. Okay. So coming from, again, a perspective of, if I want to start a cafe business, how important is it to have a chef in place? Because with me, I know operationally things I can figure out, but I do cook. I enjoy cooking, but I don't think it is on a massive level where I can, call myself ki, okay, I can be the chef of this place. So how do you go about that? Like, do you find a partner? Do you find a chef who becomes then your co-founder, and etc., etc.? Like, how did that go about for you?
Definitely 100% hands down work at a restaurant before opening one. I did not. And see, whatever things that I recommend, no, I come from a place what I did and I shouldn't have done. It's not what I did, you should also do it because I'm the best. It's not that way. I will tell you stuff that which I did and I realized it wasn't the best thing to do, is how I will know for sure that you shouldn't do. I will not be able to tell you what you should do, because you have your own journey and you will know and you will figure things out. But what I would recommend is that please work at a restaurant, gain enough experience, know how to run a kitchen, know how to take that chaos, that energy in, know on a difficult day how to still turn up and still be consistent. All of that sort of becomes your
kind of a guide
also, and your muscle memory to be on like on a bad day to be able to still function, because it's just your muscle memory. So you'll have to train yourself accordingly. It's a skill, no? So you'll have to keep on developing it so that it becomes easier when you have one of your own. 100% put your hiring ecosystem in place, put your training systems in place, because it's a human resource heavy industry, and everything depends on them. They ultimately run the show for you. So please figure out and source your chefs, and make sure you treat them right, make sure they are happy, because they are equally important for the restaurant to be running. But also know that people leave, people go, shuffle, and all of that is going to happen. Don't take that personally. Have your training process in place, then have your hiring process in place, and then it will sort of the loop will happen for you as you are on the go. So I would tell that if you can have a partner who's a chef, great. If you can yourself be the chef, absolutely awesome. Does that mean you don't have to deal with the hiring and the training? No, because you can't do that for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So you'll have to have good hiring process and good training process for sure, 100%.
Understood. One more thing that we usually face is I go to a lot of cafes, as I mentioned, and eventually, at times it happens ki some cafes, the taste is not consistent, the flavor is not consistent. At the start, you go, you enjoy it. Then maybe the second time, maybe the third time you go, you are still enjoying it. But maybe 6 months down the lane, 1 year down the lane, you go for a particular flavor, for a particular dish, but maybe this time it's not up to the mark. So how do you maintain the consistency of the food and your flavors? Because if the chef changes, I also feel there is a certain touch that is bought by the chef to the table. But if your chef is also changing, how do you maintain that flow right?
First of all, cut them some slack, please. We all have bad days, and it can happen to big ass restaurants as well. So please be a little kinder to them, because they're not trying to serve you bad food. Okay, so that's one thing. How can you as a restaurant maintain the consistency? For me, what works is that I'm the chef. So I know what the taste should be like, what the palate should be like. So I keep on tasting, and I know what could be put, like what needs to be added, what is missing. Basically, I can tell because I am there at my restaurant every single day. So that's how it's easier for me, perhaps. But for a restaurant who doesn't, like, owned by a chef, I would say that write down the recipes, multiply those quantities with the quantity of the misa that you want to make it, and make sure the raw ingredients are of the same brand. See, when you saute an onion, and if you saute for a few seconds more, and if that sort of changes the flavor, it's still okay. But if your onions are of different quality altogether, then you can't fix it. Then it's not, the change is not the good change. So sometimes at a restaurant, when the food tastes differently, sometimes it's a good different. And who doesn't enjoy a good different, no? But I'm sure that a lot of customers come to a restaurant for the same taste again and again, because it's just a
nostalgic memory.
Yeah. So for that, I'd recommend keep your produce in place, and keep your produce same and consistent, and have the recipes written down, like to the T. So that so that's how you put your training process also in place, no? Because once you have all the recipes written down, anybody who walks into the kitchen, who can read and who knows a little bit of the cooking, they'd be able to mimic it after a couple of times. So
makes sense.
That's that.
Understood. As you also mentioned ki you are the chef also in your restaurant, like you started it like that. How many recipe books and recipe videos did you go through to make sure that, okay,
I'm a digital queen, so no books, but a lot of surfing through Pinterest, YouTube, through so many courses that are available online. I've done so many of them, is how I have got my cooking basics. And then, so once you have, for any industry for that matter, once you have your basics fixed, then you can elevate it with whatever comes naturally to you, right? And that's what I did with my sort of cooking skill as well. I did a lot of basic cooking courses online. I went through a lot of recipes, experimented. And also, when you consume content or when you consume information, try and put that into action. That's how you will know whatever you're consuming, how much of it is coming to the sense, and how much of it is getting translated into what you want it to be. So yeah, a lot of trial and error in that sense.
Also, a lot of times you go into a cafe, and nowadays with all the cafe trendings, the ambience has to be great, this has to be great, that has to be great. Food is equally important. But like, I would like to mention this one particular cafe that is 1 BHK, which is in Oshiwara. You go there, the food is amazing, but also the vibe and ambience that they have created, it is very good. Like, you just enjoy. I feel that place you can go with, it can be a date place, it can be also a place where you go with your family, because it has a huge table and a dining room also inside, where it's like a family table. And if you want to go sit alone also, it's a very good place. So I would like to understand how important is the ambience, and which would you keep higher, the food or the ambience also?
Hands down food. But see, ambience, service, and all of these are also parameters on which the customer sort of judges the entire restaurant. I think of it as when on a bad day, when the food is not doing its job, the ambience and the service will make up for it. And on days where my service and ambience are having their bad moment, the food will make up for it. So all of these sort of work together to make you feel nice. And on a great day, all of it will be great for you. But sometimes some things are not under your control on some days. So you have to cut some slack for it. For me personally, food matters much more, and then ambience comes. But ambience also matters, because a lot of people can still cook food at their home, but when they walk out of their home and walk into a restaurant, they want to be feel a certain way, and that only comes with great service and great ambience. So I know the importance of them, and I take that into consideration. But if you want me to rank, I would definitely rank food first.
Understood. Fair enough. Also, with ambience, as you mentioned, is it just, the lighting, the decoration of it, the coziness of it? And are there, like, what are the different factors? Because at times you go to a cafe, the environment might be very small and very cozy, but the music there makes a lot of sense. So what are the different ambience pointers that you check? Ki, okay, these are there, then okay, now my cafe is ready.
Okay, it should smell great. Like you mentioned, the music needs to be nice, not very loud, at least for my setup. The lightings needs to be not so much on your face, but nice and soothing. It should be clean. Like, everything on the table should be nice and clean. Even like clean, proper cleanliness needs to be there. Should be nice and cool. If it's an indoor and an AC space, then that. If it's an outdoor, then nice, like ventilation with the fan or the cooler or whatever. I think these 5 things are something that I would want to check off.
Also, one more thing I would like to understand. A lot of places where you go, a lot of cafes that you go, and there are delays in food, which is okay. I feel you should be patient enough to, if you're going into a cafe, you need to be patient. Don't be like, oh, why is it getting late? I understand at times you're hungry, because of which you become hangry. But I would like to understand the people in the cafe. How important of a role do they play in a cafe?
Like service people?
Yeah, service people. Because I feel at times you just go into a cafe, if the waiter is very sweet to you, you are just happy.
So for me, what I understand of service people are, they are the representative of your brand. So they are the first people who you meet when the customers walk in. They are the first people that they meet. They don't meet owners or the chefs or whoever, they meet the service people. So the service people need to represent the brand perfectly. They need to be presentable themselves. They need to know what they're doing. They need to know their menu. They need to know what they're serving, and all of that. Definitely. And I would also say, when you're looking for a quick bite, go at a QSR. No? And if you're looking for an indulgent bite, like, choose your space accordingly. Because if you go into a crammed up space, which is which does not have a lot of staff, and then you want to ask for food like in 5 minutes, then it's not fair.
Yeah.
Like, pick your space accordingly on days where whatever is your mood like.
So coming back, I would want to understand ki if I am starting a cafe, what is the capital investment I'm looking at? Because maybe now I feel ki okay, for today, whatever I need, I have the money. But cafe is also something, cafe or even for restaurants, it is also something ki the footfall will eventually grow. At the start day, you won't have like an 100% sale and you will break even. It is a whole journey of maybe 6 months, maybe a year. So what is the capital you should be looking for? What is the amount that you need to make sure ki this much is there in the bank, then I should go ahead with this.
Right. First, know what sort of establishment you want to have. Do you want to have a cafe? Do you want to have a fine dine? Do you want to have a restaurant family style? Or do you want to have fine dine? Or do you want to have like a QSR? First, figure out the type of establishment you want to have. And each of these establishments require different sort of capital. I will not put into numbers because again, it is very relative. With the numbers that I did, it could be too much for some people, and it could be too less for a lot of people. And with what I have been told, that it was too less to start a cafe in that much capital, but I somehow did. Like you mentioned, that you need to have a runway, because not necessarily from the first month will you have enough funds to break even the month's cost for it. That's true. You need to have a runway. I did not have a runway. Can you imagine? I'm so stupid. Anyway, definitely have a runway for at least 6 months, because you will not be able to know which month does better, which month doesn't, and you're also checking your water in those many months. Your customers are sort of exploring you, figuring you out. You are getting comfortable with your customers, with the food, with everything that you're doing. I'm assuming that you are new into the industry, is why it's going to take you a little longer. Then definitely have a runway. Figure out your fixed expenses. Your fixed expenses are going to be your rent, are going to be your salaries, your produce cost, your electricity, your these are the 4 things which is going to be the fixed cost for sure. Like, even if you make 0 rupees sale or whatsoever, you need to make sure that this much amount is there in your bank every single month to show up the next month. So at least have that fixed cost amount for at least a 6 months time as a runway amount. So on a bad month, you don't get into that spiral of, oh my god, what am I going to do? I need to shut it down or whatever. So you are at peace and you can thrive and put your best attempt every single month, because you don't have to worry about where are the expenses are going to come from, at least for the first 6 months, so that you can do your best without having to worry about the money. Because the moment the worry of money creeps in, you're almost paralyzed. Then your creativity, your nothing comes out of you, just the worry comes out of you, because the money worry is a huge stuff. So make sure at least for first 6 months you're not paralyzed with that worry, and you have enough liberty to yourself to just do stuff that you want to do, the reason why you started it, right? I'm sure there are huge audience that is watching, from not just from Bombay, but from different part of the world, different part of this country itself. And the rents differs, the salaries differ. So you have to figure out on your own ground level, like, what are the rentals, what is the salary I'm going to shell out, what sort of people I want to be doing the kind of food that you want to do, and accordingly make an Excel sheet, figure out your expenses, have that runway for 6 months, have the initial capital, which is going to be the huge things. The huge expenses for the capital would be your security deposit, your infrastructure cost that you're going to put in, the ambience that we talked about so much. Takes a lot of money.
Yeah.
Not just to make it in the first place, but also to keep maintaining it.
Yes.
It's expensive stuff. Your cutlery, your crockery, everything, all of that. Make a list, like make a mota list of the kind of stuff that you want to do. If you want to do, so the reason why I cannot put amount to it, because you might want to just do plastic stuff, or you might want to do a takeaway sort of. For example, Project Hum, they don't have crockery, so they just do like a takeaway sort of bag as material. So you choose your stuff, like whatever what you want to do, and go into the market, talk to people, get the costing out, and then see, can you afford it? Can you be peace with it for the next 6 months if you don't make any sale, and then you thrive on it, and then you perform better and keep at it and keep doing it.
Okay. Also, how important is it to figure out a good location? Because there are two contradicting opinions. One is he open a cafe or a restaurant in a place where there are not too many restaurants or cafes. But also there are areas, you see Versova, you see Lokhandwala for that matter, you see Oshiwara wala line. It's all of cafes. Bandra, famous for cafes. Like every second building has a small cafe in it. But it still thrives. So how do you pick a location for your cafe?
What my strategy says is open a cafe where there are already a lot of cafes and restaurants. Because like I said, it's a low hanging fruit, no? Because there's already customers who are in that area. And since you are the new one, they will come and check you out. And if your product is nice, then they'll come back again, you know. But at many times, this strategy also works, that opening a restaurant in a space where there is no restaurants, because that also works, because then the local people around there will come to you because they don't have any other option. So that also works. Both ways it works, as long as your food is good. And see, a lot of things sort of make that decision of where to open. If you are on a low budget, then you can open at a space where there aren't as many restaurants, because ultimately then the rents would be not as big. But if you have comfortable amount of budget, then please open at a location where there are already customers exist, good restaurants exist, because you benefit out of them, out of those restaurants who've already built their legacy.
Understood. Also, very important factor for opening a restaurant or a cafe is the price point of the food that you serve. When you were curating your menu, obviously curating the dishes, deciding what will be there, what won't be there is a big challenge. But also deciding the price range differs. Plus, as you said, ki also location plays a little bit of role in that, where you get a little bit of idea ki okay, this is the average cost of food that's being served throughout the area in all the restaurants. How did you come up with the price point? And if someone is starting new, what is the approach that they should take for it?
See, it's a standard practice in this industry that figure out your cost of production, like your unit economics of how much it's going to cost you to make this product, and then mark it up with 35 to 40%, which is the standard practice that has been in doing for so many years. That is what works with the food industry. This is the minimum that they mark up, because that will then sort of include your rents, your salaries, and etc. That's the way of doing it. There's proper math and formulas with how you can figure this out. Yeah, so that's that. Yeah, there's proper formulas in place with which you can figure out your unit economics, and then you have to just mark it up. And your unit economics will depend on the produce that you're getting, and then the salaries that you're paying, and the rents that you're doing. So all of those will differ to different restaurants. Sometimes you benefit with already a floating rate which is already exists in the market. Then sometimes it could be 20% hike, sometimes it could be 80% hike, but it's already accepted by the market.
Okay.
So works for you. So you have to play accordingly. For example, if for you to make a fry takes you $10, and then you want to mark it up and sell it for $15, but already everybody is selling it at $20, and the customers are happy, then go ahead and sell it at $20 because you can.
It's a no-brainer when there is a certain fixed cost.
Another way around as well.
Item,
yeah. Sometimes the market rate of certain product is not at 40% markup, let's say. Then you have to give in if you're starting out. And then later, once you've established yourself, once people recognize yourself, then you take in liberty of hiking it up, if at all.
Okay.
You can do justice to it.
Also, as I mentioned this before also, with now there is a lot of vegan trend going around, and people now are much aware of what bases they can use, like a cauliflower base. As I said, it was a YouTube short that popped up, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I even tried it from a friend. But when you started, I'm sure these things weren't out there available. So how did you do your research? How did you figure out, okay, these are the tastes I want to have, these are the flavorings that need to be there? And also, moving forward, I would also like to understand how do you procure your raw materials from? How do you make sure to maintain the standard level, which you mentioned that it is also an important factor when it comes to a restaurant business?
In my previous outlet, primarily we were doing mostly Asian stuff. So that did not require me to, experiment with a lot of cheese flavor. So in the beginning, I did not have to experiment with a lot of cheese. Then I had a chef who was from the continental background, and that's how my menu also developed into having a lot of continental dishes. And he had a lot of idea about how a continental dish should taste like, and he used to translate it to me, telling these are the ingredients that we use, and I sort of then experimented into substituting stuff that would mimic the taste of the cheese. So for example, in my ravioli, the original recipe was of a beet and paneer, and then some parmesan cheese which was stuffed into the ravioli, and then the sauce. But we substituted it with nice good quality tofu, which does not have the aftertaste, but it's nice and gooey. And then the nutritional yeast, and then the cashew parmesan cheese that we make in house. So all of these ingredients sort of helped us to mimic the taste, and you can't really tell. And it's not about telling, it's about if you put it in your mouth, it'll taste great. So that's what we try to achieve, that it should taste good. Even if it doesn't taste like cheese, that's fine. It should taste great. That's all matters. So yeah, that's how we sort of experimented with the cheese flavoring and all of that when we do continental dishes. So like I said, we derive the cheesy flavor from the nut butters, from the nutritional yeast, from the cashew cream that we make. Cashew cream is such a great, is so nice. Like the cashew cream has the texture of the cheese, and you can put whatever flavor into it. Like if you put a Cajun spice, or you put like a peri peri masala into it, then it tastes like flavor, a flavored cheese sauce. So that's really nice. You were asking me how to figure out the produce and stuff. We figure out from a local vendor. The local you go, the better it is. And there are too many vendors available, especially in the city like Bombay. It's much easy to fetch your produce, to fix your vendors, because the ecosystem here is also very tight in terms of the restaurant and their vendors. So that's how once I was into the industry is how I sort of built onto the contacts of the vendors and experimented in the way, like I worked with few vendors and then figured out who works best for me, whose ingredients works best for me, and that's how we've stuck onto them. So it's mostly trial and error. You have to get down onto the floor, work with them, and then figure out for yourself what works the best.
Okay.
Is it hard to get contacts of the vendors in the industry? Not really.
Fair enough. I also have one particular question, which, I see a lot of people asking businessmen in general, but I want to know from you also. So I know that you are married now. I want to know, how do you maintain a balance between your personal life and your work life? Because when you are into a business, you have a business of your own, 99% of the time you're invested in that, and it is difficult to make time and manage both the things together. How do you do that?
I bring my personal to the restaurant. No. I have a great partner here. I've been with him for the past almost a decade now. So we've grown up together. We've sort of we've realized what we want to do, what we want to take up as our careers together. So we've evolved almost together. So there's no thinking about how are we going to balance it per se. But in hindsight, I would say that I don't know, man. What do you mean by balance?
Balance as in most of your time is invested in work. But when it comes to relationship, it does require efforts and time on its own also.
Correct.
To, work it out, to have the sense of feeling ki, okay, there is someone you can go to, but the person in front also needs to feel the same.
Right.
But when you have a business of your own, you're 99% of the time is invested there because your business is also your baby.
Correct.
So your whole attention is there. So how do you manage to have both in sync and make sure that you're giving equal amount of time and efforts there also?
Correct. Now you have to realize that my business is a food business. I have a restaurant. So I call people there. So if I want to meet my friends, have a get together at my restaurant. If I want to meet my family, we have a family dinner at my restaurant. If I want to go on a date, I call my partner at the restaurant and we have a cup of coffee. So for me, it is easier. For me, it's become much more easy for me to host people whoever who I love and want to spend time with. So that's how maybe I'm balancing it out, because it's a food business and I have a space to host people, so I host them there. And I take days off whenever it's needed, and when I have to go and visit them and spend time with my siblings, with my family, with my friends, I take that time out. Now, in the beginning, I did not get the liberty or the pleasure or the privilege of taking a lot of days off. For at least good 2 years, I was absolutely, totally, brutally consumed by my business, which I don't regret, because those your formative years. I'm sure good people around you wouldn't mind, because they know that you're getting into something important.
Yes. Coming to the end of the podcast, I have few rapid fire questions.
Oh,
so
wow.
I want you to answer it as quickly as you can.
Nice.
So firstly, I would like to understand 3 learnings that you had in this cafe business that you feel anyone out there should know.
You got to be patient. You need to have an idea of everything that is happening at your restaurant. For example, if you have an admin person, HR person, chef, everybody, whoever is doing their own job, you need to know what their job is. You can't blindly hire people for a certain job which you have no idea about. It doesn't work like that. If you are an owner, if you are a business, like if you are the owner of a certain business, you need to have a slight idea as to what that job needs to be before you hire a person to do that job. 100%. So that is something that I have also learned along the way, that I need to know these stuff before I hire somebody to do it for me. A nice management. I have polished my management skills for sure.
Okay, this becomes the learning for starting a cafe. But in general, as an businessman, what is that one thing that you need to make sure you have in yourself to even start anything of your own?
Money.
Okay. Money is the most important thing of all. Okay. If someone is coming to your cafe, what is the one dish that you would recommend them to try for sure?
I would recommend you try the gourd soup.
Okay. Nice. Interesting choice. If someone wants to explore a vegan dish in general, anywhere, what is the one vegan dish you would suggest?
See, when you say vegan dish, it's so... Why would you say vegan dish? Please rephrase your question.
No, I'll come to in general food also, but I want to know one vegan dish that people
like
should
anywhere,
try out.
no?
Yeah, anywhere in the world.
I would recommend desserts, actually. I've heard this from so many people that even if they're not vegan, they love vegan desserts, because somehow it's lighter on their stomach, and it's also very tasty. I also feel that. So try vegan desserts.
Okay. If anyone has to try a Pan-Asian dish, what should that be?
For starters, you should try turnip cake, or you should try shangfung. Really nice. I love the shangfung. I need to give them a shout out, which is from the same owners of 1 BHK, Baoji. They do very nice shangfung. I love that. And we do very nice turnip cake. So for starters, that gyozas or dim sums and sushis, so it's really nice. For mains, I would recommend a mapo tofu, or a nice Asian curry. It could be Balinese katsu. Thai curry, any of these, very nice. Or a khao is also good if you want to have something with noodles. I love me some edamame truffle fried rice, like especially when it's a sticky rice, all the more nicer. Uh, I love me some stir fry on the side. I can go on and on about it.
I can see that you're just
I'm
enjoying.
in my zone. What I need to order for my lunch. So yeah.
Okay. If you had to recommend 5 cafes in Mumbai.
Thank God, thank God, thank God.
Other than Thank God.
Correct. Bauji is nice. It's not a cafe, but it's a place that I love going. Bauji is good. I love Greener, which is in Bandra and in Churchgate. They do vegetarian vegan food. Very nice. Greener, Bauji. I go to... I love Hakkasan. Again, does very great Cantonese food. I love Izumi because they do best sushi. I also enjoy I enjoy this pizza place which was a cloud kitchen few months ago, but now they have a small dine-in also. It's called House of Dough.
Okay.
I love their pizza. I love Thank Gourd's pizza also, but they do sourdough bread, which we don't. So the sourdough bread and the sauce and the cheese, they also do vegan pizzas and vegetarian. So really good. You must try. So these 5 places.
Okay. One thing that I find missing in your food recommendation is burger.
Burgers, no?
So any 2 places that you would recommend for good burgers?
I'm not being biased, but definitely Thank Gourd's burger is really good. Or else, where else do I have had a great burger? To be very honest, no, like apart from the rapid fire, I have stopped having a lot of food which I already serve at my restaurant because I genuinely enjoy the food that we do at my restaurant. So what is not there in my restaurant is what I go and eat outside. That's why I love Izumi, because we don't do sushi.
Yeah.
That's why I love Bauji, because we don't do shangfeng and etc. But burger, I love Jimmy's vegetarian burger. But is it like absolute banger and you can't find nowhere else? Not really. But yeah, Jimmy's vegetarian burger. If I'm not having it from Thank Gourd and I really want to have a burger, then I'll have a Jimmy's vegetarian burger. Or sometimes McD burger.
That's the go-to. That is like a comfort food in itself.
Correct.
Okay. If Dimple is sitting at home and is not your normal dal chawal, but wants to eat something fancy, but is cooking, what would that one go-to dish be of yours?
Then I make myself a peanut sauce noodle, which I absolutely love, which is also in my menu. But if I have to be at home with very few ingredients and still need to have a smacking dinner, then it's definitely rice noodles with some peanut sauce and with Asian sauces and seasoning into it, and I love it.
Okay.
I just had it day before yesterday for dinner.
Desert place recommendations in Mumbai?
There are some cloud kitchens which I actually really like, but they only do like pre-ordered delivery on Instagram. So they were like home brands, which I really like. There's this who also bakes. So there's this woman named Girija. She lives in Kandivali and she also does the baking for us as well.
Okay.
She bakes some amazing chocolate cakes and tea cakes, which I really, really like. But we serve it at my restaurant, so I don't have to go anywhere else and have it. So I'd recommend her. I don't remember the brand that she runs because I contact her directly, but I will find it and share it with you.
Done. Works. Okay. My last question would be, if someone is starting out a new business, what are the things that they need to make sure? Not just cafe business or a restaurant business in general, if they are starting out, what are like the 3 points that you feel ki okay, these 3 things are very necessary to start any business, and then they can go about it.
First, ask yourself why. Like, why do you want to start the business? And then figure out the service or the product that you want to build your business upon. And third, figure out your people, your team, who are you going to run this business with, because business is not run by one person. So maybe these 3 things.
Okay, this reminds me of one more question that I want to ask is, if you are starting a restaurant business or a cafe business, which are the team members that you need to make sure ki these are there with you? Like basic level pe, from a very outside perspective, I know ki okay, there needs to be a chef, there needs to be a waiter, but if you are starting a small cafe, how many people do you need in the team, and which would be those hires?
Very subjective, depending on how many seaters are you hosting. Depending
Starting
on
with a small
let's say if you're a 20-seater or a 15-seater, let's say 15-seater, then you will definitely need at least 2 people. So also depends on your running hours, because everybody works on a 9-hour shift. And if your cafe is running for more than 9 hours, then you have to have 2 people doing the same job at different hours. So you have to calculate accordingly. But you need to have, I'm not right now, I'm suggesting about 9 hours running, so that you only have to have one person doing one job at a time. So you need to have one person for service. You need who can take care of the billing also, who can take care of the online orders. I mean, taking the online orders as well, taking the orders, billing, and servicing. One person is enough if you're just starting out. You need to have at least 3 people in the kitchen, so that one takes care of, the helping out, one takes care of online orders, one takes care of the dining orders. You need to have a person for housekeeping, so who does the dishes, who does the cleaning, etc. And you need to have one person just to compensate anybody if somebody is not there, which is mostly me.
That's amazing.
In my case.
Just talking to you randomly, I have one more rapid fire question that popped up. Any street food recommendations that you have?
I love vada pav. So vada pav. I love safe puri. I also enjoy street style masala dosas here. I love mendu vada. I'm not an idli person, but I love mendu vada. See, mendu vada is not healthy.
Yeah.
Not like it's not the most healthy thing in the world, but is it the tastiest thing in the world? Maybe, yeah. And is it vegan? Yeah, 100% hell yeah. So I love that. I love all sorts of chaats. So I love a samosa chaat, or a chaat papdi, or a sukha puri, or a safe puri. I love that. I am from UP, so you can vouch me for that I'm a chaat person.
Any particular food joint that you would recommend for these street foods?
Style?
Yeah.
Famous ones, though I don't know many. I know a lot of local, which wherever I live, I find one local person who does like a great chaat and samosas and vada pavs for me. Now that I live in Versova, so there was this Annapurna in Shastri Nagar itself, where my previous cafe was. In that same lane, they used to have, like, they started with such a small bakada, and then now they have a good, decent shop where they sell all sort of chaats and safe puris and samosas and vada pavs, and I love that. On a weekend, I would go and grab and come back to my restaurant. I do that very often. It's called Annapurna, if I'm not wrong. It's on Shastri Nagar, Kalinga Lane. Shout out.
Okay, then. Thank you so much, Dimple,
Thank
for
you.
coming. It was
Thank you
so
so much.
fun, and
Likewise.
also I think it was such a change in mindset, which I have figured out, rather than, as I mentioned earlier also, rather than too much analyzing. At times you just need to go about it and then figure out things on your own. Money is important. Make sure you have the capital, but if that is sorted, go about it. Have your experience, have your experiment done, and rest of the things can be figured out. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you so much. I had so much fun.